Hello students, welcome back to this beautiful platform of Yupp Master. I sincerely hope that you and people around you are safe and healthy, right? So yesterday we were discussing ionic equilibrium. So basically we are having a quick revision of ionic equilibrium. I have chosen this topic because this topic finds a lot of application even in our 12th class curriculum, because in electrochemistry, solution and sometimes in solid state as well, we encounter ionic equilibrium often, and there have been many previous year questions directly on these topics related to ionic equilibrium. So ionic equilibrium is one of the most important chapters of physical chemistry for your JEE Mains as well as advanced. So yesterday we were discussing about buffer solution, and in the first lecture we discussed about weak acids, common ion effect and diprotic acids. So today we are just going to discuss about salt hydrolysis, and also we are going to solve some problems on buffer solutions. So let's get started, kid. Okay, so this is the first question. Now yesterday we said that buffer solution is a solution that maintains or resists a change in pH upon addition of small quantity of acids or bases. And we also said that in blood there is a buffer of H2CO3 and NaHCO3, right, which maintains a pH of round about 7.3 to 7.4, 7.45, right. So this is the first question for today. Now this question says that, first read this question: the pH of a blood stream is maintained by a proper balance of H2CO3 and HCO3 negative. What volume of 5 molar NaHCO3 solution should be mixed with 10 ml of a sample of solution which is 2.5 molar in H2CO3? Assume no NaHCO3 is present initially in order to maintain a pH of 7.4. The two pK values, the pK value for H2CO3 is given as 6.7 and there is one log value that is given to you as 0.3. Okay. So let's try to solve this question now. Okay. So basically we know that blood is having a buffer of H2CO3 and NaHCO3, right. Yesterday we also did some very good understanding about how these substances, how diprotic substances act as a buffer solution. So we know that this is a acid, and when it loses its H plus ion it forms HCO3 negative, which is a bicarbonate ion. So in this case this is the conjugate. Okay. So basically it is a acidic buffer, because if it loses a H plus ion it will form HCO3 negative. Now we know from our previous understanding that pH of buffer solutions is given by Henderson's Hasselbalch equation, and in this case the pH is pKa. Now we should take over here pK1, because when H2CO3 loses a proton it forms HCO3 negative, so that corresponds to the first step of ionization of H2CO3. So this is basically pH equals to pKa1, but because no value have been given, so we will assume that this is the only pK1. Okay, so pH is equals to pKa plus log of concentration of conjugate, conjugate in this case is NaHCO3 upon the concentration of acid, right. So this is a very direct question on this formula. Now we know that we have to calculate the volume of NaHCO3. So let us assume, let volume of NaHSO3 be V, right. Now because this volume of H2CO3 is given in ml, so let us assume it to be a V ml. Okay. So basically when we are mixing the two solution, the total volume of the solution becomes V plus V ml is of NaHCO3 and 10 ml is of H2CO3. So this basically becomes V plus 10 ml, right. Now because we have mixed the two solution, the total volume is going to increase. Now because the total volume has increased, so the individual concentration of the component will also change, because molarity or the concentration term depends upon the volume. It is number of moles upon volume of solution in liter. So basically the concentration of NaHCO3 would become, because we are having V ml of NaHCO3 and its molarity is given as 5. So we know that the number of moles is also equal to molarity into volume. So this we have a very clear idea. Molarity is number of moles upon volume in liters. So if you are taking volume in ml and multiplying with molarity, we will get number of millimoles. So in this case the number of millimoles would be 5 into V, okay, and the total volume becomes V plus 10. So the concentration will be number of millimoles upon volume in ml. So this becomes the concentration of NaHCO3. Now if you look at the concentration of H2CO3, the volume of H2CO3 is given as 10, its volume is 10 ml and the molarity is 2.5. So the total number of millimoles become 2.5 into 10, right? This is the total number of millimoles. Now we want to find out the concentration, so concentration would be number of millimoles upon total volume of the solution, which is V plus 10, right? So these are the concentration of the species, right? We have to maintain a pH of 7.4. So we know that pH has to be 7.4. This is equal to pKa. Now pKa is 6.7 plus log of concentration of NaHCO3, which is 5V upon V plus 10 divided by the concentration of H2CO3 is 25 upon V plus 10, right? So we know the value, this will come out to be 0.7. This is equal to log 5V upon 25. These two terms get cancelled. Now we know that this is V by 5. So just you have to do an anti-log of 0.7. So we will get the value of V by 5, and from that we can calculate the unknown quantity V. So this is the direct question that is there on the buffer solution. Just have a quick look on this question. If you want to take a snapshot of it, you can also take the snapshot of it, okay. Sure. Let's come to the next question. Now this question says that, first read this question, just have a look at this question, read it, then I will read it and we will understand the question. So this question says that 20 ml of a weak monobasic acid HA requires 20 ml of 0.2 molar NaOH for complete titration. So what we are doing, we are just reacting HA with NaOH and we will get Na plus water, right? Now when it says that it is undergoing a complete titration, that means both HA and NaOH are getting consumed completely. Now we know that 1 mole of HA is reacting with 1 mole of NaOH because this is a monobasic acid. So we can say that number of moles of HA and number of moles of NaOH should be equal for the complete neutralization to happen. So we can say that molarity into volume of HA should be equal to molarity into volume of NaOH, right? So the molarity we can calculate for HA, so this is 20 into m because the volume is ml. So this is basically millimoles of HA, 20 into 0.2, so this will be the millimoles of NaOH. So the molarity of HA would be 0.2 in this case, okay. So I hope this is clear. So basically the first data is given just to calculate the concentration of HA. So this you have to understand through practice, that what data will be used to extract what quantities, okay. Now the question says that if the pH of the solution upon adding of 10 ml of this alkali to the 25 ml of this solution is 5. So now basically what we are saying, number of millimoles of base, which is NaOH in this case, this will be equal to, this is number of millimoles. Now we know that upon addition of 10 ml, so we are taking 10 ml of this alkali whose molarity is 0.2. So basically we are taking 2 millimoles of NaOH and we are adding this to 25 ml of the above solution of HA. So the number of millimoles of HA in this case would be its molarity, which we have calculated from this data, which is 0.2 and the volume is 25, right? So when you multiply this, we get 5 millimoles, right? So now we know that, okay, I will change the inks for a better view. So we know that when you are reacting NaOH plus HAA plus HA, we are going to form a salt plus water. Now initially we are taking 2 millimoles of NaOH and we are adding it to 5 millimoles of HA. So 1 mole of NaOH reacts with 1 mole of HA. So 2 mole should react with only 2 mole. That means HA is taken in excess, or it is the excess reagent, and NaOH is the limiting reagent. So this get consumed. So we are left with 3 millimoles of HA. Now 1 mole of this is forming 1 mole of Na. So 2 millimoles of NaOH will form 2 moles of Na. So the concentration of HA finally would be number of millimoles upon total volume. So the total volume over here is, we are mixing 10 ml of this and 25 ml of this. So this is 35 and the final concentration of NaA would be 2 upon 35. So basically in the final solution, what we are having HA and its conjugate A negative. So this is again a acidic buffer. So pH in this case would be pKa of acid plus log of concentration of conjugate upon concentration of acid. So this is the data. Now we know that the pH is 5.8. So this is equal to pKa plus log of 2 by 3, right? So log 2 by 3 is basically log 2 minus log 3. So when we take this over here, pKa will become 5.8 plus log 3 minus log 2. So you can just put the value of log 2, which is 0.3. You can put the value of log 3, which is 0.47, and you will get this answer. Okay. So I hope this question is clear to you. You can have a snapshot of this as well. Okay. So let's come to the topic which we wanted to discuss today, that is salt hydrolysis. Now what do we mean by salt hydrolysis, right? So basically when you are taking any ionic salt and you are dissolving it in water, so what happens is, what do you mean by dissolution of a salt? When it goes in the aqueous solution, when a salt goes in the aqueous solution, it splits into a cation and a anion. Now these cation and anion gets hydrated or solvated by water molecule, and hence they are separated out, right? So once you have taken a, so basically we will say that the process of interaction between cations or anions of salts and water is known as hydrolysis of salt. So let us take an example to understand this. Now suppose we are taking a salt, something like AB. Okay, we are dissolving it in aqueous solution. So we know that because it is an ionic salt, it will split into a cation and an anion. So it splits into a cation and a anion. Now these cation and anion can interact and can form the ionic solid as well. Because these cations or anions are hydrated in solution, so they get stabilized and they remain in separated ionic form. Okay. So what do we understand by the term cationic hydrolysis? So hydrolysis is nothing but basically the interaction of the solvent molecule or water molecule in this case with the individual ions of the salt. So what happens is this cation would get surrounded by water, right? And because water has a dipole, it has a positive end as well as a negative end. So water would split into H plus and OH negative. The OH negative would get attached to A plus and we would form AOH, right, plus H plus. So this step is basically called as cationic hydrolysis. So a cation goes in the water, it pulls out OH negative from the water and forms AOH releasing H plus. Now because of cationic hydrolysis, H plus has been released in the solution, so we say that the solution becomes acidic. So whenever there is a cationic hydrolysis, so the solution will become acidic and its pH would be less than 7, right. Now let us look for the same for a anionic hydrolysis. Now similarly, the anion also gets solvated by the water molecule. Now because anions have negative charge, they can attract the positive part from the water, that is it can attract H plus of the water and it can form Hb plus OH negative. So what is anion basically doing? It is attracting the H plus ion from water and it is releasing OH negative in the solution. So due to this, the pH of the solution will become greater than 7 and we'll say that the solution is basic. Okay. So whenever there is a cationic hydrolysis, the solution will become acidic. Whenever there is a anionic hydrolysis, whenever there is a cationic hydrolysis, the solution will become acidic, and whenever there is an anionic hydrolysis, the solution would become basic, right. Now depending upon the extent of the two reaction, we can overall classify that whether the dissolved salt in aqueous solution will have a pH less than 7, greater than 7 or equal to 7, right. So one important thing which you should understand over here, when the cation is undergoing hydrolysis, it is forming AOH. Now we know that AOH is a base, and when anion is getting hydrolyzed, it is changing into Hb. Now Hb is a acid. Now these acids or bases should be a weak one. So basically this should be a weak electrolyte, because if it is a strong electrolyte, then it would split back into A plus and OH negative, and OH negative would react back with H plus and would have formed A plus plus water. So the reaction would go to the backward direction. Hence we would say that cationic hydrolysis is not taking place. Now when the anion undergoes hydrolysis, it is forming Hb. Now this Hb has to be a weak acid, because if it is a strong acid, then it will again dissociate back into the original anion. So basically we have to look for whether these electrolytes formed, acids or bases formed, are strong or weak. Okay. So suppose we had Na plus, right. Na plus is a cation. So when it is getting hydrolyzed, we will say that it will attract OH negative from water and it would form NaOH plus H plus. Now NaOH being a strong electrolyte would split back. So the reaction would go to the backward direction and we would say that cationic hydrolysis has not happened. Similarly, suppose there was an anion like Cl negative. Now when it is getting hydrolyzed, it will form HCl. We know that HCl is a strong electrolyte. So this will also split back or dissociate back into H plus and Cl negative. So the reaction would come to the backward direction and we would say that the anionic hydrolysis has also not happened. Okay. So this is the basic which you should know over here. Okay. I hope this is clear to everyone. So let's start with the first case, that is salt of strong acid and strong base. Now we know that strong acid is HCl, strong base is NaOH, KOH, these are strong bases. So we will form NaCl, this is a salt of NaOH and HCl, so this is a salt of strong acid and strong base. Similarly, KCl, this is a salt of KOH and HCl. Similarly, NaNO3, this is a salt of NaOH, which is a strong base, and HNO3, which is a strong acid. Similarly, KNO3. Similarly, we can take Na2SO4, salt of NaOH, H2SO4, K2SO4, and so on and so forth. Okay. So these are the few example of salt of strong acid and strong base. Okay. So let's analyze this case now. Now when you are taking NaCl in water, okay, so when you are taking NaCl in water, so basically because NaCl is a ionic compound, it will split into a cation and an anion. Now when this cation undergoes a cationic hydrolysis, what it would form? Na plus would react with water, it would attract OH negative of water towards itself, forming NaOH plus H plus ion. Now because NaOH is a strong, because this is a strong base, so we know that strong base will again dissociate back, so this reaction would go to the backward direction, right. So this reaction won't happen in the forward direction. So we would say in this case that no cationic hydrolysis is taking place. So there is no cationic hydrolysis. Okay. Similarly, when we look for the anion will undergo anionic hydrolysis. So it will again attract water molecule. So Cl negative attracts water molecule. So it will pull out H plus from water, so it would form HCl plus OH negative. Now in this case HCl is a strong electrolyte, so basically this is a strong acid, and we know that the strong acid will dissociate, it will exist in dissociated form in solution, so this dissociate backs into Cl negative. So again this reaction also goes to the backward direction. So in this case we say that no anionic hydrolysis is taking place. So whenever we are having a salt of strong acid and a strong base, then we say that neither cationic hydrolysis is happening nor anionic hydrolysis is happening, due to which there won't be any production of H plus or OH negative ion in the solution. Therefore we would say that these solution would have pH equal to 7, that is they will be neutral. So suppose there is a question that you dissolve 0.1 molar NaCl in water, okay, so the pH of the solution would be 7 because it is a salt of strong acid and strong base. Now suppose there is a question which says there is 0.1 molar HCl and 0.1 molar NaCl in the solution. So what would be the pH of this solution? Now we know that 0.1 molar NaCl is a salt of strong acid and strong base, so this is a neutral compound. So basically the solution is having HCl which is 0.1 molar, so H plus present in the solution would be 0.1 molar, so the pH of this solution would be 1. So I hope this is clear to everyone. You can have a snapshot of this as well. Okay. So let us come to the second case, that is salt of strong acid and weak base. Now we know that organic bases or ammonia, methyl, amine, these are all weak bases. So let us consider few examples. We know that ammonia is a weak base, so ammonia reacting with HCl, that is ammonium chloride, or say ammonium sulfate, right, or say something pyridinium salts. Pyridine is a weak base. When it reacts with HCl, there is a proton over here plus Cl negative, or any alkyl amine, you react this with HCl and we form this. So these are the few examples of salt of strong acid and weak base. Okay. So now let us analyze these cases and understand what the pH of the solution would be. So let us consider, say we are taking ammonium chloride. Now we know that when we are dissolving ammonium chloride in water, so this would basically split it into ammonium ion and Cl negative ion, right? Because ammonium chloride is an ionic compound, so this would split into this. So if you look at the anionic hydrolysis, the anion would attract water molecule toward itself and would pull out a H plus ion and would form HCl plus OH negative. Now we know that the HCl over here is a strong acid, right? So strong acid generally exists in the dissociated form in solution. So this reaction would go back. So we would say that this reaction is not coming in the forward direction. So we would say that there is no anionic hydrolysis in this case. So there is no anionic hydrolysis. Okay. Now let us consider the cationic hydrolysis now. Now we are forming a ammonium ion over here. Now in ammonium ion there is a positive charge on nitrogen, and we know that the positive charge on electronegative atom is unstable because electronegative atom generally have negative charge on them. So this nitrogen will lose its proton and will change into ammonia, right? So it will lose its H plus ion. So this H plus ion would go to water. So we will form ammonia plus H3O plus, or we can also say that this ammonium ion can attract OH negative from water and would form ammonium hydroxide plus H plus, right? Now because ammonium hydroxide is a weak base, so this would dissociate back but to a very smaller extent. So there is a equilibrium which will be established in this reaction, due to which we will say that cationic hydrolysis is taking place. So due to which H plus is being produced. So pH of this solution would be less than 7, that is these solutions would be acidic in nature. So whenever you dissolve any salt which is made up of strong acid and weak base, so the pH of that solution is generally less than 7. So now let us calculate the pH of such solutions. Okay. So next is the calculation of pH. What exactly would be the pH of the solution? Okay. Before going into this, now we will say that because there is a hydrolysis reaction taking place and there is a equilibrium that is established over here. So every reaction has a equilibrium constant. Similarly, this reaction would also have a equilibrium constant which is known as hydrolysis constant. So we will have KH over here, right? Now this is called as hydrolysis constant. Now more is the value of hydrolysis constant, more would be the hydrolysis. Now what will be the KH? KH will be equal to concentration of ammonium hydroxide into concentration of H plus upon concentration of ammonium ion, right? Water we do not take in the equilibrium expression because its concentration remains practically constant. So in this case we say greater is the value of KH, more would be the hydrolysis. More is the hydrolysis means that numerator part will be more than denominator, that means this reaction is coming to the forward direction, indicating that more H plus ion is produced, hence solution will be highly acidic. Okay. So basically KH is the hydrolysis constant. Now what is the value of this KH? So to calculate the value of KH, we know that a base is being formed over here, ammonium hydroxide is formed in this reaction. So basically ammonium hydroxide is a base, so when it breaks down it forms this. Now this will correspond to a Kb which is base dissolution constant. Now Also we know that water, there will be obviously water in the solution, so water undergoes self-ionization, it breaks into H plus and OH negative. So if we write the reaction in the reverse manner, okay, so we can write H2O breaking into H plus and OH negative ion, its equilibrium constant is Kw. So when we reverse the reaction, its equilibrium constant will be reciprocal of that. Okay. Now when we add these two reactions, so the OH negative gets cancelled out, we get NH4OH changing into plus, okay, H plus ion changing into ammonium ion plus water, right. So basically KH in this case would be, right, because this is the reverse of this reaction. So this will be, when you add two reactions, the equilibrium constant becomes, the equilibrium constant is the product of the two reactions, so this will be KH into 1 upon Kw. So this is basically Kb upon Kw. So KH of this reaction would be Kw upon Kb. Okay. So basically there is a shortcut to remember this. Whenever you are writing KH, you can directly say that it is always Kw upon the quantity that is being formed in this, okay, because in this base is formed, so that equilibrium constant will correspond to Kb. Suppose in the hydrolysis step, if there was a formation of acid, then the hydrolysis constant would have been Kw upon, because there is a weak acid over there, so it would be Ka. So basically you can derive like this. We take NH4OH, it splits into NH4 plus OH negative. Water can show self-ionization. So if you write the reaction in reverse, so it will be the reciprocal of the equilibrium constant. Now when you add these two, when you are adding two reactions, we know that the equilibrium constant is the product of the equilibrium constant of the two reactions. So basically this is the reaction. So basically the equilibrium constant of this reaction would be Kb upon Kw. Now this reaction is complete reverse of this. If you reverse this, this is NH4 plus water forming NH4OH plus H plus. So this is the reaction. So basically the equilibrium constant would be reciprocal of this. So that is Kw upon Kb, right. So if we want to calculate the pH, so there is a very simple technique to calculate this. So basically we are having, okay, I will just erase this and we'll do it. Okay, so just have a snapshot of this so that I can do the solving over here. Okay, I hope you had this. So let me do the solving again. So we are saying that we are having NH4 plus and this is reacting with water and forming NH4OH plus H plus, right. Okay. So this is basically corresponding to hydrolysis of the cation. So we write this with a KH. Now we know that the value of KH is Kw upon Kb. So just remember the shortcut, KH is always Kw upon whatever weak component is formed over here, the equilibrium constant of that, okay, because it is a weak base, so it will be Kb. If suppose there would have been a weak acid, then it would have been a Ka, okay. So for the finding out the pH, let's say that at time t equals to 0, C was the concentration of ammonia ion, okay, because suppose we started with C concentration of ammonium chloride, okay, we dissolved in water, because it is an ionic compound, so this would completely break into ammonium plus and Cl negative, so the concentration of ammonium ion is C, right. So we took ammonium chloride, dissolved it in water, because it was an ionic compound, so whatever concentration of ammonium chloride was there, ammonium ion would be formed. So initial concentration was C. Say after time t, when equilibrium has been established, let alpha be the degree of hydrolysis, okay. So let alpha be the degree of hydrolysis. Now we know that C is the initial amount, alpha H is the degree of hydrolysis. So amount of ammonium ion hydrolyzed would be C into alpha H, right. So we are basically left with C minus C alpha H. Now 1 mole of this is giving 1 mole of this. So C alpha H would give C alpha H of ammonium hydroxide and C alpha H of H plus ion. So basically if we plug these value back into the KH. So KH we know is concentration of this into concentration of this, that is C alpha H into C alpha H divided by C 1 minus alpha H. So it get this as C alpha H square upon C 1 minus alpha H. So basically this is KH will be equal to C alpha H square upon 1 minus alpha H. Now we know that the value of KH is KW upon KB in this case. Now KW has a value of 10 raised to minus 14. Now suppose because this is a weak base, KB can be 10 raised to minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, right? So still when you divide it with KW, the value of KH would come to be very small, something of the order of 10 raised to minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, minus 8. So obviously KH is small, indicates that KH is small, it indicates that the reaction is coming to forward direction in a less extent. So alpha H will also be very small. Okay, so wherever alpha is being added or subtracted, we can simply neglect it. So we can write KH as C alpha H square. So basically alpha H would be root of KH upon C. Now we know that the concentration of H plus in the solution is C into alpha H. So when you put this value back, so we get root of C into KH. Now if you put the value of KH as KW upon KB, so this is the value of H plus. Okay, so basically now what you have to do, you have to take log and then you have to put a minus sign against it. So when you do that, when you take log on both the side, the pH finally would come out to be 7 minus half pKb plus log C. So you can just calculate this after the lecture, just you can take log on both the side and put a minus sign and just calculate this. So pH would come out to be 7 minus half of pKb plus log C. So there is a particular format to remember these formula, like these we will do when we have covered all the different type of salt. So basically the pH of a strong acid and a weak base will always be less than 7 because it is undergoing only cationic hydrolysis and it is producing H plus ion. So the value of pH in this case would be 7 minus half of pKb plus log C. So this is the way how you derive it. So you can have a very close look to this. Okay, just have a look to this. Okay, so I hope this is clear to everyone now. Now let us consider the next case, that is salt of weak acid and strong base. Okay, so example of these would be if you take any weak acid, acetic acid is a weak acid, any organic acid is a weak acid, strong bases like NaOH, KOH. So example would be CS3, COONA, CS3, COK, potassium acetate, sodium acetate, sodium formate, potassium formate, sodium phenoxide, and so on and so forth. Okay, so there can be many cases, just you need to know that organic acids are weak acids. So let us do the analysis of the case. So we are having, suppose we are dissolving CS3CONA in water. Okay, suppose C is the concentration of this. Because it is an ionic compound, when you dissolve it in the aqueous solution, we get acetate ion, okay, and Na plus ion. Now because it is an ionic compound, so this will break completely. So C concentration of this will furnish C concentration of acetate ion and C concentration of Na plus. Okay. So basically the cation hydrolysis would take place and anion hydrolysis would take place. Now when anion hydrolysis take place, we know that Na plus will pull out OH negative from water and would form NaOH, right? NaOH being a strong electrolyte or a strong base will dissociate back. Hence, we will say that the hydrolysis of cation is not taking place. I hope this is clear to everyone. When Na plus reacts with water in cationic hydrolysis step, we will form Na plus will pull out OH negative ion because it has a positive charge. So, it will form NaOH. NaOH is a strong base. So, it will split, it will break into Na plus and OH negative again. So, the reaction won't happen. So, we will say that there is no cationic hydrolysis taking place. So, if we look at the anionic hydrolysis, okay. So, I hope these points are very clear. So, see, like derivation is not that much important, but if you understand how these derivations are coming and how we are implementing the concepts over there, so that will actually help you in building up the right concept, and once you are doing the solving, it will become very easy. Okay. So, anionic hydrolysis, for anionic hydrolysis we would say that acetate ion would react with water and it would form acetic acid. Now, we know that acetic acid is a weak acid. So, what is basically acetate ion doing? It is pulling out H plus from water. So, it is forming acetic acid. Now, we know that the acetic acid is a weak acid. So, this is a weak acid. So, this will dissociate partially, right. So, there will be a equilibrium established since it dissociate partially. So, there will be a equilibrium established. Because there is a equilibrium established, so we will have a equilibrium constant in this case, which is written as Kh. This Kh is called as hydrolysis constant, and the value of Kh will be concentration of acetic acid into concentration of OH negative. So, basically this Kh would be concentration of acetic acid into concentration of OH negative divided by concentration of acetate ion. Water is not taken again because its concentration remains practically constant during the course of reaction. Okay. Now, we can derive the value of Kh also over here. Now, remember the shortcut I already told you, Kh is always written as Kw divided by a factor, right, because in this case a weak acid is being formed. So, the factor would be Ka. If it would have been a weak base, then it would be Kb. In the previous case we had done this. We can also derive this, right. We can say that because acetic acid is being formed over here, acetic acid will ionize into acetate ion and H plus ion. Okay. You can also write water along with it, acetic acid plus water forming acetate ion plus H3O plus. So, that would correspond to Ka. Water would undergo self ionization, water would react with other water and form H3O plus plus OH negative. Equilibrium constant would be Kw. If we look at those two equations, we have to reverse one and then just add the equation, we will get this expression only. Okay. Just like the way we did in the previous one. Okay. So, I hope this is clear to everyone. If not, please try it. If you are having any problem, you can write back to me. I am always there to assist you, right. So, initially we said that the concentration of this is C. Let alpha H be the degree of hydrolysis, right. So, again like we did in the previous case, alpha H is the degree of hydrolysis. So, C alpha H would hydrolyze. So, the anion remaining in the solution, the concentration of anion remaining in the solution would be C minus C alpha H. Because 1 mole of this is furnishing 1 mole of acetic acid and 1 mole of OH negative. So, C alpha H would also give C alpha H of acetic acid and C alpha H of OH negative. So, basically if we write the expression of Kh over here, so this would be C alpha H concentration of this into concentration of this divided by concentration of acetate ion. So, this is the concentration. So, when you cancel out, it becomes C alpha H square upon 1 minus alpha H. Now, the same approximation will hold true over here also, because Kw is having a value of 10 raised to minus 14. K will have value of 10 raised to minus say minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, minus 6. So, obviously, when you divide this, when you divide Kw by Ka, you will definitely get a factor that is equal to 10 raised to minus 6, minus 7. So, obviously, the value of Kh is also small. The value of Kh is small, it means that this reaction has not gone to the forward direction, right, because if Kh is small, that means the numerator is small. and denominator is high, numerator is small, it means that reaction has not come to the forward direction. So basically alpha H would be small in that case. So when alpha H small, we can assume that 1 minus alpha H is approximately equal to alpha H. So we can write KH as C alpha H square. So alpha H in this case would become root of KH upon C. And we know that the concentration of OH negative in this solution is C alpha H. So if you put the value of alpha H over here, we will get root of C into KH. And we know that the value of KH is KW upon Ka. So this is the value, right? So when you take log of this, so we'll get log of OH negative equals to log of this quantity. When you take off minus log, you will get as POH. Now we know that pH plus POH is equal to 14. So pH will be basically 14 minus this POH. So when you do the required calculation, you get pH as 7 plus half pKa plus log C. Okay. So I already told you, if you look at their format, almost they are same. Here pH was 7 minus because it was made up of strong acid and there was a cationic hydrolysis that was taking place in the previous case. So the pH would have been less than 7. So this is 7 minus something, and because this is made up of strong base or because anionic hydrolysis is taking place, so this will be greater than 7. So 7 plus something and this is 7 minus something. 7 plus half pKa of log C, and here it is 7 minus half of pKb plus log C. Okay, because here the involved substance is a base, here the involved substance is a acid. Okay, here the involved substance is a acid. So basically you have to remember the format. pH is always 7 plus or minus depending upon the nature of solution. If the solution is acidic, then it is 7 plus half of pKa plus log C, sorry 7 plus half of pKb plus log C, and it will be 7 plus half of pKa plus log C and 7 minus half pKb plus log C. Okay, so we will memorize this also. So last comes is today we are just going to cover the theory part. You just revise the theory part. You might have done it somewhere in 11th class as well. So just revise those. We will get back tomorrow with very good questions, amphiprotic substance, and we are going to increase the level little now from mains to advanced, and we are going to till the level of Olympiads as well. So if you look at these cases, so this is basically a weak acid and a weak base. So in this case it is a salt something like ammonium acetate. It is made up of acetic acid and ammonium hydroxide. Both of them are weak component. Okay. So if we consider these salts, so basically what would happen, CH3CONH4, when we would take this in water, it would ionize into acetate ion and ammonium ion, right? Because this is a salt, so this would hydrolyze. So suppose if this is a C concentration, this would finally break, we will get concentration of acetate ion as C and ammonium ion as C. Now the anion can undergo hydrolysis. Now when the anion undergoes hydrolysis, what will happen? CH3CO negative will react with water because it has a negative charge on it. So it will pull H plus from water and it would form acetic acid. So basically acetate ion would react with water, forming acetic acid and OH negative. Similarly, because NH4 plus undergoes a cationic hydrolysis, it will also react with water and it will pull out OH negative from water because it is having a positive charge. In the process, it will form ammonium hydroxide and H plus. So in this case, acetic acid is formed after hydrolysis and ammonium hydroxide is formed after hydrolysis. Now we know that both of them are weak electrolytes. So in this case, both cationic and anionic hydrolysis is taking place. Okay. So if we can write this reaction, so we will write this reaction together. So CH3CO negative plus NH4 plus this is reacting with water. So acetic acid will pull out H plus from water and it would form acetic acid, right? NH4 plus will pick up NH4OH. Because they are weak electrolyte, they will like ionize but to a smaller extent, hence there would be a equilibrium that is established in this case, right? Now because there is a equilibrium due to hydrolysis, so we will have a hydrolysis constant Kh. Now we have already defined that Kh will always be equal to Kw upon the weak component, because here both the components are weak, acetic acid and ammonium hydroxide. So basically the Kh will be K into Kb. Now this you can derive also. How we can derive? We can say that because acetic acid is being formed over here, so if you write the ionization of acetic acid, it is basically acetate ion plus H plus ion, right? It will correspond to Ka. Similarly, ammonium hydroxide will ionize into NH4 plus and OH negative. It will correspond to Kb. Water will undergo self ionization, right? It will form H plus and OH negative. Its equilibrium constant will be Kw. Now using those three equations, we can manipulate those three equations, we can reverse it, right? And we can add them. So when you do that, you will get this expression, right? And we will get the value of Kh as this. I hope this is clear to everyone. If not, please try it. I am just leaving it to you because I want this to be done from your side, because when you do it, the concepts will become more easy to understand. Okay, there are some techniques that you should be adopting during this preparation. So let us now analyze this. Now we know that the concentration of both the anions were C. So this is the concentration C, this is also C. At time t equals to 0, these are not formed at all. Now let alpha H be the degree of hydrolysis. Okay, so we know that C alpha H would hydrolyze, C alpha H of this would also hydrolyze, and we will be left with C minus C alpha H. This is also C minus C alpha H, and we will form C alpha H over here and C alpha H over here. So basically if you write the expression for Kh, this is C alpha H into C alpha H upon C1 minus alpha H into C1 minus alpha H, right? So when you cancel this, C term will get cancelled out, right? So we will get alpha H square upon 1 minus alpha H whole square. This is equal to Kh, right? So we can say that alpha H upon 1 minus alpha H is equals to root of Kh, right? So from here you can calculate the value of alpha H, so that would come out to be alpha H would come out to be root of Kh upon 1 plus root of Kh, right? You can just calculate this by your own, just you are sending this and you are calculating this. So we can say that in these type of salts, the alpha is independent of the concentration. So if you will see at these expression, right, we wrote this as alpha H was inversely proportional to concentration, root of the concentration, right? This was the case of strong acid and weak base. Now when we are taking weak acid and strong base, again the alpha H was inversely proportional to the square root of concentration, but in this case alpha H is independent of concentration. Okay, so it means that if you dilute these solutions, okay, if you dilute this solution, there won't be any change in concentration term, so this pH would remain constant. So this is basically also a buffer solution. So basically salt of weak acid and weak bases also acts as a mixed buffer because it has a acetate ion and NH4 plus. So when you add acid to it, acetate ion consumes that acid. If you add base to it, then ammonium ion consumes that base. So this can also act as a buffer solution. So if you find the pH of this solution, okay, so I will just quickly write this, we will cover this tomorrow. So pH of this solution would be 7 plus half of pKa A minus pKb. So how this came, we'll discuss it tomorrow. So we have covered all the 4 types of salts over here. Tomorrow we are going to cover amphiprotic ion, and from there we'll start solving questions. Basically this is a very important segment, salt hydrolysis, buffer solution, and the portion that will be following after this is very important. So I hope these lectures are very clear to you and you are able to understand the concepts, and actually you are able to revise these topics in a proper manner. So if you are doing the revision from us, just download the daily practice problem sheet and you can solve those questions. If you are having any problem, you can just come back to us, you can revert through us through the Yupp Master app, and if you have not downloaded the app, please download the app. The app is very useful to you. Okay. So these are the questions that we wanted to do tomorrow. Okay. So basically this is the end of session today. Now I hope that you are planning your studies like in this crisis time, because we are left with a very good amount of time right now. If you are focusing in a proper manner, if you are channelizing your energy in a proper manner, then definitely you can overcome the situation, and whatever problem you had in your 11th class, whatever topics you were facing acute problem in, so just go back to those topics, start revising, have a very good idea of theory first. The main problem like most of us do in our preparation is we just don't focus much on theory. So I always assess the student in understanding of those theory. Put a good amount of time in the theory, because once you are clear with the theory, problem solving is just the consequence of it. The main problem is we don't have the right knowledge about the theory and just we want to practice more. Practicing will definitely not help you a lot. First you have the core idea of the topic, then jump onto the solving part. And for solving there are many contents that are available. You can solve your institute content, there are many books available to it. But if you do it judicially and if you do it in a proper oriented manner, then things become very easy. Ionic equilibrium for me is one of the most easiest chapter. It is one of the toughest for those who do not do it in a proper manner. Okay, so this is Animesh, your chemistry mentor, signing off for now. I will catch you tomorrow for some more with some more interesting topics and a lot of problem solving.